Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Today, inshallah, we're going to talk with a student who scored 9 for her speaking part, and she's just 16. So, welcome, Kamola.
Thank you.
Can you tell us your name, age, and your overall score, and scores in each section?
So my full name is Usmonova Kamola.
Okay.
I'm at the age of 16. And from my recent exam, I got an overall 8 band with sectional scores for listening 8, reading 8.5, writing 7, and speaking 9.
That's awesome. That's perfect. And I believe that this is an unprecedented score in Ghana, right? Because nobody has taken 9, as far as I know, for the speaking part especially. And we have pretty good scores, but not 9 for speaking. So that is pretty impressive. So can you tell me how you felt when you saw your results for the first time? So what was your reaction?
For the first time, I was like shocked. And honestly, I didn't realize that it was such a good score, like insane score, band 9, till like the next day after getting the result. And just day by day, I got into realization that, oh my God, I actually did it. I was more of a like shocked, and then felt happiness, enjoyment, and I was like, good job, I did it.
Wow, that's impressive. Because you said that this you noticed 9 on the next day, right? Because in the first day you were pretty shocked from your 8 overall.
Yes.
And then you realized, wow, my speaking is 9,
my
right?
speaking is 9.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty understandable. So let's kind of talk a bit more, about speaking, because the speaking is the part that that made everybody shocked. Even I was taken aback when I realized, when I was told that she got 8, and said, wow, and then she got 9 for speaking, and then I was speechless. Okay, so how did you prepare for the speaking part? How did you pull this off?
So in the last months before taking the exam, I was mainly preparing on part 3 topics. Thanks to Karen's Academy, we have special booklets which are so helpful, like really, because without them, I don't think that I would ever be able to understand how to form my answers for part 3 and articulate my thoughts clearly. So these booklets helped not only to improve my part 3 responses, but generally impacted part 1 and part 2 into the way how I'm starting my speech, what kind of moments I'm developing more, and where to focus on. And honestly, for part 2, that days I wasn't giving a lot of attention, because it was already at the point when I could produce quite good speech within a minute. So all I did is just take a look into new topics and just come up with some ideas. And then I thought, if I get these topics, I will make a full speech right on the exam. And part 1 is just easy peasy, so there was nothing to pay attention for, because we just give a response, develop it a little bit, and that's it.
Okay, so what you mean is that these booklets allowed you to get the score you wouldn't get otherwise, right? Okay, so these booklets were the key, right, in your success, because they were related to part 3, and when you have really strong part 3, part 2 and part 1, they develop automatically, right, basically. Okay, so did you have any other like daily routines or practice habits, so habits that helped you to do this?
Well, I think one of the habits that helped me a lot is recording my speech. That's honestly basic practice for majority of people, but I used to take it so serious. Like whenever we would get a part 2 topic as a homework, which was like a daily task, I would try to come up with interesting ideas, and I wouldn't, just leave it with mistakes, the recording, even though I was like tired. I strive for perfection, and I wanted to get the flawless speech. And that took me like about 1 to 2 hours sometimes, depending on the difficulty of the topic. But at the same time, it was enjoyable. And that helped me a lot to specifically make part 2 very, very interesting. So for the 2 minutes, I can actually keep the attention of the examiner into what I'm talking about. And this also generally was the main habit that I stick to. And apart from this, I would just prepare for part 1 and part 3 questions, relying on sample answers.
And these sample answers were given by Sirajuddin, right? By teacher. Okay, and you say that you spend 1 to 2 hours. This is for one part 2 topic. You spend that much time?
Yes.
Wow, that's a lot.
Because I would re-record it again, and again, and like by listening to this, we can easily notice where we did mistake. This is the best part of doing this recording practice. And whenever I would catch like small mistake, I would like, we gotta re-record it. I can't leave it like that.
Okay, so you really went extra mile, right? In
for part 2.
Recording and refining and improving your speech.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm pretty sure that your hard work paid off, right?
Indeed.
By giving you such a good score. Okay, so what about mirroring? I mean, mirror speaking. Have you tried to kind of copy somebody?
Actually, not really. I didn't try this technique. I've heard that this one is very reliable and effective one, but I never felt like a need for this. In the beginning, I was more inspired by the way popular speakers speak, or let's say speakers who come to TED Talks. And when they give a speech, it was so interesting to listen. And something that I noticed by listening to their podcasts is that they speak in that way that it captures the attention for the whole time. And I was like, wow, this is something interesting. I gotta try to do this. So I was inspired from them and tried to little bit copy the way they talk into my part 2 and part 3 responses. And then by making some mistakes, improving, I just got to the point that there are many other ways of developing speech. And then I just build my own style and went with this. Okay,
so there was a long trial and error process, right? You made a mistake, worked on that, improved, made another mistake, and that cycle continued until there was no mistake left.
That's actually good to make mistakes in the beginning, because I know that a lot of students are scared or afraid of doing this, but I just think about it. If you're not gonna make mistakes in the beginning, how are you supposed to improve?
Okay, yeah.
Because we have to understand our weakest point, improve it, and it comes to the level of 7 or 7.5 when we don't really have these grammar issues or inappropriate vocabulary. And in this part, we are like error-free, but there are other ways of making the speech even better. For instance, using complex grammar structures or developing ideas in a bit different way. For instance, instead of using like long sentences to articulate only one stuff, one thought, we can actually use only one word, which can tell this in a second, right? Yeah, so dealing with mistakes was actually important. That's why I wasn't like afraid of making them. I would just do it over and over again till I got to the point that I don't have any more mistakes.
Okay, nice. Because, for the speaking part, if you want to get a perfect 9 for the speaking, in each subsection of the speaking, you should get 9, right? Be it pronunciation or grammar or vocabulary or fluency. For example, if you make a couple of grammar mistakes, you can't get 9. Or if you make a couple of vocabulary mistakes, you can say goodbye to 9. So in your case, everything was so perfect. They couldn't, they couldn't decrease anything to 8 in subsection, so they had to put 9, right? Basically. So very good, very good.
Thank you.
And did you, for example, you studied in a group, right? And you studied extra while you were here.
Yeah.
Did your language? I mean, by default, would you talk in English with your friends, groupmates, colleagues, or Uzbek Russian? You would mix it.
In English mainly. As soon as we entered the academy, like Russian or Uzbek language turned off, and English is only on, and we were like trying to talk in English because this is actually good for us. And developing like day-to-day speech also improves this little bit formal speech for IELTS. And that's why even though we weren't discussing like questions or topics, we still try to talk with each other in English, like saying, how are you? How is it going? And
even a small talk would be in English, right?
Even small talk would be in English. Of course, sometimes in Russian, but Mainly in English.
Okay, I see. So you would talk in English more than you would talk in any other languages.
Yes.
Combine it, right?
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah.
Okay, because you would spend a lot of time in here in the academy with your friends preparing. Okay, that makes sense. So now let's turn to the listening part. You got a pretty impressive score of 8 there. Not bad. It could be better, of course. There was room for improvement.
Yes.
Maybe you were a bit unlucky, but still 8 is pretty good score. So how did you train your listening skills?
Well, that was just simple. Listening to podcasts, analyzing them, and even preparing speech. In this case, you don't only improve your listening score, your listening skills, but also speaking skills. Because you listen, analyze it, and then also give a speech on it.
Wow.
And then this comprehension of topics in podcasts also improve the way I understand the listening test, the audios which are given in the exam. And we would just practice, analyze it. Why did I did these mistakes? What would be like the correct answer? Why is it correct answer? And meticulous analysis, practice, and listening to podcasts. These were the main things incorporated into my daily practice, and that helped a lot to achieve this 8.
Okay, yeah, so mostly practicing, analyzing, right?
Yeah.
And podcasts, you were killing actually 2 birds with 1 stone, right? Podcasts would improve your speaking and at the same time listening, right?
At the same time listening.
So yeah, that's very smart. And podcasts are indeed really useful.
Yeah.
True. So reading can be tricky as well with its time
indeed.
limits. And
Of
how did you
course.
manage that one?
Well, honestly, I was hoping for band 9 in reading section.
Wow.
Because in the exam, I'm doing it, I'm checking it, and I'm pretty sure that I got everything correct. I was like, maybe there will be like 2 or 1 mistake, but then I saw 8.5 and I was like, okay, I did something wrong anyway.
Okay.
But still, I suppose it is a good score. And the way I did it is pretty much the same to my practice on listening. It's also reading the articles and analyzing them again, and we can also put like make up with headings for each paragraph in the article. That improves your comprehension of the paragraph, and when you actually give a heading on your own, you understand what is the main point, which is the thing that we have to be capable to find in the real exam when we get the headings, right? And also, I would just do reading passage and then analysis, paraphrase table, which is the common practice in our academy to do.
So could you talk a bit more with detailed explanation of what is this analysis, right? Paraphrasing
Paraphrase
analysis.
table.
Paraphrase
So
table, yeah.
it just after finishing the reading passage, let's say only passage 1, we would just get a paper or like notebook and divide it into like 2 parts. One of them for questions, the other one for answers. And for each question, we would try to find the keywords in the passage and in the question so they match, and this would give the correct answer. Because we know that the words used in the questions, they usually come with the synonyms in the passage.
Not the same words, but synonyms or paraphrased versions.
Or paraphrased version. Sometimes we couldn't even find like synonyms, but like a whole sentence.
The whole sentence would be paraphrased
The whole
with
sentence
different
would be
words and
paraphrased.
sentence structure. Huh?
Yes, and we would just write it down, look at it and match it. And then it would clearly show why the answer that I chose was incorrect and why the other answer is actually correct.
Okay. Well, some instructors say that reading is not a reading task. It is a
vocabulary
synonym or vocabulary task, right? When you know the synonyms, if you have a good vocabulary, then you get what you want, right? You get the W.
Yeah.
So that's why we should know synonyms, be it word or sentence or structural grammar, whatever it is. We should know the synonyms. Okay, well, good. You got pretty impressive score of 8.5. Means that you made either 2 or 3 mistakes.
Yes.
Still very good score. So, and finally, writing is a hard section for a lot of students, right? And you got pretty good score there, which is 7. And what helped you improve your essays?
What helped me is just practicing again, I mean, every section is practicing about this, right? And also analyzing sample answers in this case and learning from them. For instance, sometimes my introduction would be like bad, or body paragraphs are not that good. And it also, like, learning the structures of the essays also helpful. For instance, we don't just stick to only writing with two bodies when it comes to agree, disagree, because our teacher taught us about other structures when we can use three bodies, or when we can form it in a bit different way and it is still correct. And this helped a lot. Like, in the beginning, it was very difficult because, anyway, writing is not the same way as speaking. Of course, in both of them, you articulate your thoughts, opinion on particular topic question, but it is a bit still complicated, and it is more preferable to use a little bit formal language, right, in writing section. So that was really difficult. But I guess kind of practicing over again and dealing with this time management problem in this section as well. The test and trial, I got to this point of 7, and it just got improved, like, with the flow. I didn't really pay a lot of attention to this.
But looking at your speaking, we can say that you have pretty good vocabulary, and you can develop your ideas, meaning that you should get 7 hands down. Right? 7 is not that like high score, but it's a pretty decent score, especially compared to your overall language skills, right? Okay. And would you write a lot of essays in your last month, for example?
No.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, no. Honestly, whenever I would put a lot of pressure onto myself in terms of, like, essays, I would get too tired. And when I would go to the mock test, I'm looking to the question and I'm not understanding how to do this. So I secretly wouldn't practice a lot in terms of writing, but I still kept this knowledge, how to write it, what kind of ideas are appropriate, how should I divide it into bodies, what kind of overview is good for comparison or trend type of task ones, right? And without too much pressure, one day I just, like, went to mock test, and I was so worried, like, I didn't practice writing for 2 weeks, what I'm gonna do. But then I got it. I got the topics. They were, like, not that bad. I wrote it, and then to the next day I got 7 for this.
From the mock test.
From the mock test. And then I understood that, okay, then I should just keep it simple. I shouldn't going too hard on this section. And that's why I wasn't that much worried. I was like, at least I'm gonna get like 6.5 or 7.
Yeah, but it's not as easy as it sounds, right? Because a lot of people might say, okay, she didn't practice much. It means if I don't have to study a lot to get 7, right? It doesn't apply to everybody.
It doesn't apply to
because
everybody.
Your general English is really good. Your grammar, vocabulary is almost perfect. And that's why writing came easy, kind of. But it's not the case. It's not going to happen with everybody, right? Unfortunately. Okay. So what are the top 3 things that worked best for you in terms of, overall learning English and improving your IELTS score? Top 3.
Okay, top things. 3 things. So the first of all, I was enjoying the process. I wasn't pushing myself to study it like other people do, and they come to the class and be like, it's again this English or something like this. But I would actually enjoy the process. I mean, I know sometimes we get some stupid questions in part 1 or part 2, like speaking topics, and I would just think, like, why they created this kind of topic, right? But still, I would kind of think, come on, just think logically, what would be something interesting to talk about here? Or whenever I would feel tired of listening to podcasts, reading articles, I would just be like, come on, I'm getting kind of knowledge from this, which is not like specifically for IELTS, but for my life. It might be something useful. And I would read it with interest, I would listen it with interest, and I would find something positive in everything that I would do, so I can actually feel and enjoy the process instead of pushing myself too hard.
Okay.
And the second one is...
So first thing is trying to enjoy the process,
Yes,
right? Learning
enjoying
is
it.
pretty interesting.
Yeah.
You get to learn not just about English, but about life, like you said, about many interesting
About
topics,
science,
be it
for
biology
instance.
or chemistry or life.
So it's like very
outside Earth,
insightful.
for example. Yeah.
Yeah.
All kinds of information seem enjoyable for you, right? So this is the first thing. Okay.
This is the first thing.
Cool.
The second is, I think, environment. What I mean by this is the group mates, the group where I'm studying, my friends, and kind of being like open. In fact, studying with the group is much more interesting because I've experienced both individual study and with the group. And something that I can say with the group is like 100% better, because this is when we exchange a lot of different ideas. This is when something gets interesting, playful, and not that much tiring, I would say. And making like so many friends by this journey of studying English was actually one of the best parts of it, because I have met so many good people, and it's also kind of applies for networking. So we are connecting with other people. This is another thing that made me to feel more confident, which is important, to not hesitate while speaking, to talk smoothly. And the third thing is that one of the most important ones, I would say, I wouldn't, limit myself, and I wouldn't let go an opportunity that would came to my way. Whenever I would see that I have a chance to show my skills and get them checked out, I would just go for it. I would be the active one. I wouldn't be like sitting shy or be like, oh, somebody else gonna answer, or even though I know that a lot of people actually think so, because in the group they may feel like, oh, she's speaking like better than me, I don't want to talk, or I don't want to do this. No, don't be like that. As I said earlier, making mistakes leads to really good improvements. And that's why I wouldn't just care whether somebody else wanted to talk or other thing. If you didn't get the opportunity before me, okay, that's it. I'm just getting it because I'm paying for courses, I'm coming for courses, which means I have to study, and I'm seeing opportunity to improvement, then why wouldn't I do this? And this kind of mindset actually made me very active, because every time when we would have like checking speakings or talking about podcast articles, I would always try to participate in it. I would always try to talk about particular insight that I got from them, instead of sitting like shy and thinking that somebody else gonna cover this. No.
Okay.
And I would advise the same thing, don't be shy, but instead just go for it, do mistakes and improve.
Okay. So first thing was enjoying the process, enjoying the learning process. Second was environment, having good friends, maybe like-minded people around you, right? Because as they say, you are the average of 5 people you spend your most time with, right?
Yes.
So you try to spend your time with those that were interested in studying, that would be persistent, that wouldn't give up, that wouldn't be lazy. This is the second thing. And the third thing was use every opportunity, right? Whenever you have a chance, you go for it. You are not too shy. You are not kind of embarrassed. You just say, I'm here. If I have a chance, if I'm asked, I'm definitely going for it, right? So made use of every opportunity to the fullest. Okay, very good, very cool. So, and next thing, what is one common kind of mistake that a lot of IELTS students make, in your opinion?
Oh, so this is actually made me think a lot, because I mean, I've passed the test like 2 months ago.
Okay.
So I think that one of the common mistakes is understanding the difference between natural speech and casual speech. This is like not something new for A lot of people, I do believe that some students actually got as a feedback like you have to speak a bit natural. And when they when they get such feedback, they think like, oh, I shouldn't be using complex grammar then. I shouldn't be using complex vocabulary then. I should be talking like easily, like I'm talking
more
with
simple
my
way, yeah?
with my friend or something like this, like B1, B2 level, even though they are like studying for C1. And this is actually wrong. I've always wanted to tell that because natural speech means that you are capable of using the most complex stuff in such a way that it is the easiest stuff. So you are like incorporating, let's say, perfect tenses in the speech that you are making, and you are saying it as if it's present simple for you with the ease.
You use it effortlessly.
Yes, effortlessly,
right?
without pushing yourself or without like preparing yourself in mind. Oh, this moment gonna come and I'm gonna tell this structure. And when they do this, it is so noticeable
that they are struggling.
Yeah,
right?
that they are struggling and that they are pushing it, and it sounds fake when you listen this kind of parts. But when person actually knows all this grammar, vocabulary stuff, and they are easily, by using them, easily can incorporate them without thinking too much, where can I put it or when should I use it, it goes easily, smoothly. And this is what makes natural speech. And even though speaking exam is a little bit informal than writing one, it's still an exam. So there should be some formality, and that's why we have to be using some complex vocabulary or grammar if we want to reach like 8 or higher than this.
Okay, so sometimes using complex thing, but in a natural way, in a simple way, and making it effortless, can guarantee a good score, right? Because you must use something nice, something beautiful to get beautiful score, right?
Because I have seen like some people in the groups that I studied, they are getting this feedback of talking naturally, and they are thinking like, oh, so it means that I shouldn't be using complex stuff. And I'd be like, no.
No, use it, but use it in the right way, right?
Yes,
because a lot of times
right
what happens is that some student, for example, learns complex grammar, vocabulary, and everything else is average, let's say. And they use one thing, and it's so noticeable that it doesn't suit that it doesn't suit the level of the students. And for them, it's visible that for them using it unnatural. But for you, your grammar is really good, vocabulary is good, pronunciation no problem, fluency no problem. Then you can use anything because you know how to use it and when to use it, and how not to use it when not to use it, right? That's why you can make it sound natural. But for that, you got to make sure that all of the skills are like in a high state. Okay, so cool. So it means that don't be worried, don't be afraid of complex thing, but learn how to use it in a nice way and in an easy way.
Of course, in the beginning, we have to push ourselves somehow to use it, and also like learning some samples where these structures are used or vocabularies are used. It also gives a sign to a student, this is the appropriate way of using it, and this is not appropriate. And then just at some point when you are talking, your brain just hits with the idea, come on, we have this structure, let's use it. And then you just use it and it goes so natural.
Yeah, when it comes by itself, it's natural, right? But when you force it, it stands out, right? It's so noticeable. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about Kevin's Academy's impact on what you've achieved. How did the Academy help you in your learning process?
It helped a lot because I started from zero here, well, mainly from pre-intermediate level.
From zero to hero,
From
right?
zero to hero, yes. And I really liked the atmosphere here. Honestly, I'm a little bit introverted, so I like the fact that there are groups with not too many people, not too much people, and it's just kind of friendly environment. I really love this. And as I said earlier, people who I met here, one of the best part of this journey, including my friends, teachers, and other many people, because that really created this friendly environment. And I literally enjoyed the process. And of course, the way teachers teach it here, English, IELTS, it is so good, because in other places I could have never understand particular topics as good as I understood them here, and that helped like a lot. So the Kevin's Academy's impact was big, really big.
Okay, I see. And what did you like the most about lessons or teachers in the academy?
About lessons, I liked everything about lessons.
Okay.
I wouldn't complain that something was uncomfortable or too much. No, it was like appropriate, even though in intensive groups we would practice for long hours, but still.
So long hours means 2.5 hours or
Yeah.
3 hours sometimes, right?
Sometimes. Mostly it was just 2 hours. And it was like still good. Yeah, a little bit exhausting, but I knew that this is something that I have to do to get this score, the desired one. And the way our teacher teach us was so good. I have mentioned in earlier podcast that he is strict, and this is good. This is the thing that I liked, and that's why I stayed here,
Okay.
honestly. And another thing that I really love is that we actually use here in the academy like real exam materials in mock tests, sometimes during the classes, and that helped a lot in the exam, specifically in terms of reading, because our teacher lately would give us like a lot of real exam materials, reading passages, and when I went to the exam, the difficulty level, the structures, the questions, they were so similar to the ones that we practiced in the class.
Okay.
And in the class, I would also get like something around 8.59 in terms of reading. And in the exam, it is also for reading 8.5. So the materials that are used, the way teacher teaches was something that I liked a lot here.
Okay, perfect. And do you think you would recommend the academy to your fellow students, group mates, friends?
Of course, I would recommend. Of course, it is also depends on their preferences. I mean, sometimes they don't like particular environment, or sometimes they prefer a bit different way of studying or something different. But I would definitely recommend it, because first of all, my result proves that education system is quite good here. I would say even perfect for speaking, right?
Okay.
And I have actually been recommending this academy for my friends, familiar, sometimes even relatives, and they have come also taking really good scores. So I would definitely recommend it, even if you guys are studying in other academy or planning to. Still try to visit and see how it is here, and then just make your choice. But I would definitely recommend it here.
Okay. And I'm pretty sure that they will live up to their expectations.
Yes,
the place is going to live up to their expectations.
definitely.
Okay. So advice to other students. What would you say to someone who is just starting their IELTS journey?
For those who are just starting, I would say don't give up, because there are going to be a lot of challenges, like really a lot of. And even if you are like not giving up and like trying to continue it, and do not push yourself too hard, because to not give up, it doesn't really mean that you are keeping the same consistency all the time. Sometimes you can give yourself a little bit rest to recharge and
to
then
slow
get
down
back.
a little bit, but
Yes.
not to stop, right?
Yeah, not to stop. Slowing down, because slowing down is not giving up. Giving up is just totally stopping. So slowing down is absolutely normal, and this is something that I also did, because we gotta be like fresh and recharged to consume all the information which is important for us, and understand it and then use it later. That's why don't give up, keep continue, don't push yourself too hard. And when it comes to like practicing, and if you guys have particular section. In my case, it was speaking that I really liked. Somebody may love reading or listening. Just give yourself to this section a lot. Practice.
Devote, right?
Yeah,
Devote
yourself and, try to do these practices. So it's like perfect. At the end, you reach the perfect part. And then you can also get this like so good high score at the end.
So it's important that you find your favorite section.
I guess so.
And work on it more, right? Because when you are perfect in one section, at least you have this confidence.
Yes.
And this confidence definitely, influences on other parts as well. For example, when you are super disappointed or super sad, you just say, at least my speaking is so awesome. Maybe my writing is not great. Maybe my reading is lagging behind, but at least this part is so awesome, right?
It is so awesome.
This will kind of support your other sections as well.
Yeah, having this one particular section that is most likely to be the highest one can also improve the overall score at the end.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's very important to find something like kind of favorite one.
Okay, perfect. So now a little bit kind of interesting, intriguing part, the quick fire fun round. So I will be giving questions and you should try to answer them really fast. Whatever comes to mind, you answer it immediately, right away, right on the back. Okay.
Okay.
So this is gonna be kind of quick one. Okay, the first one. What's one English word you still pronounce wrong on purpose?
I don't know.
This is a complex question, right? Even for me.
It is so complex. I think
you know that you pronounce wrongly, but you still keep pronouncing it that way. Is that this kind of word? But you know that you are making mistake in that word.
But I know that I'm making mistake in that word.
Maybe the word preferable.
Preferable.
Because actually you have to pronounce it as preferable.
Preferable. Oh, really?
Yeah.
That means I was making mistake without knowing that I was making mistake.
Or exam. Is it exam or exam?
Exam.
It's exam. It's exam. Okay.
Well, I haven't been practicing speaking for a while, so
that's natural. Right? You have the excuse. Yeah, for 2 months you haven't been practicing, right?
Yeah, not intensively, of course. And I was expecting particular decline and forgetting some stuff, but
that's okay. It's a natural thing. Okay. Secondly, what emoji best describes your IELTS journey?
What emoji? We have that emoji which is crying and at the same time smiling.
Okay.
Because there was like ups and downs and sometimes I'm enjoying it but I was like, I don't want to do this but still doing it. So this kind of emoji really...
Okay, crying and smiling at the same time, right? Yeah, because you like it at the same time. It's so difficult, right? Yeah. Sometimes as they say, we gotta do the difficult thing or, something really bad to get something good. Yeah. Sometimes we have to sacrifice it.
Yeah.
Okay. So next question. One myth about IELTS that people need to stop believing, in your opinion?
That you can get 7 after intermediate level after like 3 months. Okay. You cannot.
After intermediate, getting 7 is beyond your reach.
It's impossible. I mean, on social media, there are a lot of videos of some academies or teachers saying like, I can prepare you from intermediate level to band 7 within 3 months. No way this is gonna happen.
Okay. In your dreams, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's difficult to get 7 after intermediate. Maybe impossible, but it is
difficult. Very difficult.
Arduous task. Okay, well, I think that brings us to the end of our kind of interview. Okay. So thanks a lot for your experience, for telling us about experience, and for inspiring us and other fellow students. So, okay, do you have any wishes or kind of final words for the students and for the future IELTS takers and for the academy where you have studied?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for my parents for support and for actually encouraging me to study English. And of course, I am so much grateful for the academy and teachers who taught me and helped me to achieve this desired score. And For students, I would say the same thing. If you are like studying this stuff, then don't give up. You can do this. And yeah, like IELTS is kind of big deal these days. So I think like achieving a high score can open up a lot of doors in front of you, and can actually also make you so happy after so much work that you have done. And guys, be confident, and speaking is not that hard. Right? Getting 9, 8, like it is possible. It just depends on yourself, whether you're gonna devote yourself to it or no. So if you wanna achieve this, just go for it, sacrifice, and still don't reach to the point when you are like too much burnout. Otherwise, it may lead to giving up.
Okay.
So balancing.
You should kind of pick the average
Yeah.
speed, not too intense, not too light as well. So
Yes.
average, something in between, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And for you guys, if you're watching this kind of podcast, if you want this kind of results, welcome to our academy. We are always welcoming students like you. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comment section below. We are ready to hear them. Thank you. Goodbye.